Hey there YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. It has been a little while. It is December 1st, the first video of the series, and basically, if you haven't heard what the Puzzle Advent Calendar is, this is this awesome collaboration between YouTube puzzle content creators and puzzle makers in the community, where we showcase 24 different puzzles throughout the month of December. This is, of course, December 1st, as I said. There'll be a playlist down in the description below that'll lead you to all the subsequent videos coming out after mine. And I'll also link the channel that is doing day 2 of the Puzzle Advent Calendar right down there below. So make sure to go check that out. This is going to be an awesome event. And without further ado, let's get into the first puzzle of the year. This one is by a K. Okay, and after that intro there, as you saw here, this is the Hexakite Plus. Look at this thing right here. I don't know if the kite name comes from the shapes of the centers there or what, but wow, it'd be really interesting to see what kind of solving challenges this gives, because it is a very interesting looking puzzle. We'll try turning here in a minute. This is apparently fully 3D printed, and it was designed in Fusion 360. It looks like it did a very good job, because man, this thing is nice. I'm going to bring it behind the camera here quick for a sound sample, and I'll show you turning on a little bit. Wow, that actually turns really awesome. Here you go. I'll show you quickly there. It does bandage on a couple of sides, so I have to figure out exactly which ones those are once I start solving it. So you can see if you rotate to like this, yeah, that actually looks a little bit more symmetrical and easy to figure out. But of course, in the solve state, it is offset a little bit. And it has this really interesting symmetry, which basically those two there are symmetrical, and then you turn over to this side, and it's the opposite direction. So it's an asymmetrical puzzle in that way. Yeah, this will be really interesting to see how it solves. But anyway, I'll show you a couple more turns there. Let's see, how would you line it up with? Yeah, I mean, you can really start. It is fully symmetrical in that form right there, so that might be the way to solve it. You'd solve it basically into this form here, and then you just turn the layers here. Sort of like a ghost cube in that way. Let me grab a normal Rubik's Cube here for a size comparison quickly. As you can see, next to the Hexakite Plus, they're actually not too far off in size. This here is probably a 70mm puzzle or so. It's probably comparable in size to Megaminx. I don't think I have too much more to say about the puzzle here. I think I'm just going to try and scramble it up, and let's see how it looks scrambled. Okay, so in the scrambling here, a couple interesting things. There are two different types of scrambles you can do on this, basically. You want to break apart those pieces, which you do via this layer right here, which does center cuts, and if you put a piece like that right there, you can split those apart. And then there's this type of scramble here, which is basically just like a 2x2x3 or something like that, but with the corners all bandaged together. And this, obviously, you can turn 180-degree turns, and you can split the corners away, and you can split these pieces away, the edges. So with the combination of those moves, I'm pretty sure I can get it to a pretty well scrambled state. So let me do that for a little bit longer here, and I'm going to try to solve it. Okay, so there you go. I have this thing all scrambled up now, like I was showing before with those two different types of moves. And it really is interesting how, I mean, you have to align it like that to be able to move these pieces very freely, but you can also align it in that direction there, and then it looks all messed up. So I think the way I'm going to go about solving this, just from what I've come up with during the scramble, is I'm going to try and get these pieces together. All these pieces here, all the way along the cube. Get those together with the correct piece, and that's going to be done with the center moves, which let me show you here quickly. Or I should say, here, this right here. Those little center layer turns, they have a really interesting sound to them. I noticed that during the scramble. They're different than the top layer here, which is a little bit more scratchy plastic. Center turns are a lot smoother and actually sort of creamy, and they also catch a little bit, but if you get all aligned, it turns pretty nice. That's pretty cool. Very, very nice build quality for a 3D printed puzzle. So anyway, I guess I'm going to start the solve, and I'm going to start on trying to get all these paired up. So let me do that. Yeah, this is definitely proving to be quite an interesting solve here. As you can see, I have a bunch of these here paired up so far. But one thing I noticed, like on this cube here, is basically this is the layer that I'm trying to pair stuff up on. And unlike a normal cube, I mean, this seems sort of like a center, first of all, which is really weird. But unlike a normal cube where you could take this piece out with a set of algorithms and put it in the top layer very easily, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, like a sledgehammer or something to pull it out of there. On this cube, I mean, like you can see right here, we have two solved edges. I want to take this one out of the center layer so I can solve another piece here. This would be how you do that, at least in this case, because that brings it all on the top layer, which is for right now where I'm trying to keep these safe and out of the way. And also, like if I want to bring this piece here down into here, and I don't want to mess up that piece, if it's oriented this way, I can just bring it down like that. And as you can see, this piece is up in the top layer still, just because of the way it rotates. But of course, as you can see, I brought one from the other side into harm's way there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this solve actually ends up. I'm curious to see if there's going to be some sort of parity or what exactly once I get to the last few edges I'm pairing up here. So I'm going to keep going with it, and I'll check back in if I have anything else interesting. And also, I forgot to mention, I mean, once you have enough edges in the top layer there, you're going to have to solve this middle layer somehow or another. You can do a lot of things like on 4x4, like with this one right here, I'm trying to pair up these two. But if I do that, then I won't be able to move it out of that layer into the top layer very easily because there's too many edges in the top and bottoms there. So I figured out to move like this, which basically you're just pulling full pairs there so you don't have to worry about if you're messing them up or not. And you align it like that. And then of course you can slice across, flip, and then slice back to pair them up. And in theory, not mess anything else up. I'd have to figure out if that actually messed anything up. I don't think it did. So I'm going to keep trying with moves like that and keep trying to build my top layer edges. And let's see how far I get. Okay, so I'm back. I was getting a little bit discouraged. I was having trouble getting more than like 3 on one side and 4 on the other because I was not able to figure out how to move pieces around very easily. But at some point I figured out, I mean, I'm basically using the exact same algorithm I was just showing you before in the previous clip to flip edges, and here's where I'm at. So I have 3 left. Let's see on camera if those finish up. So basically I figured out if this is going to be your one that you're going to be going to. So let's say I'm putting that one there and then flipping it and then putting it back. The one in the back is going to be preserved and the 2 on the sides are going to be destroyed, or changed I should say. So let's see what this move does here. It's either going to have a parity or it might just work, which would be pretty cool. I'd not look ahead or figure out if that's going to happen. Yes, we have a parity. Okay. Well, the good news about this parity here is it's not really a parity. It's 2 pieces that I'm just going to have to flip and put back. But the thing is, I don't think there's any other split edges here. So I must be wrong about, like I was saying, you combine them here and these 2 get messed up. That must not be exactly true. So let me work on this for a minute and I'll let you know what happened when I figure it out. Okay, so after looking at the cube here for a second, let me at least try this on camera just in case it works. If it doesn't, I'll have to figure it out. But this actually might just be one of these cases, since this one here could go here and then flip and then back. Maybe for some reason it preserved these, or it might just swap it where these ones are mixed up and these ones aren't. But let's try it out. I figured I'd try it on camera here. See how nicely this puzzle's turning right now. Well, it does once you align it. And there we go. Awesome, awesome. Okay. See, I wanted to put that on camera just in case it worked. And if it didn't work, then it'd still be funny. But there we go. So now that we have all the edges back paired up, which, I mean, it's very intuitive. I like the solve, and I don't think there can be any parities because, I mean, these are 2 different colors. They're all different colors. There's no obscure or oddball edges in there. So anyway, yep, you do all that through the middle layer here, which is the same way I scrambled it. So that made sense. And now we're going to try to figure out where all these go. And of course, the added challenge, let's see if I can figure out how this works here. Nope, that's not it. Let's see here. Well, yeah, it's going to end up looking a little bit like this, where it's at a strange angle to each other, all the different pieces. Which is different than a 2x3x3. And pretty interesting. Yeah, this thing sure is a brain scrambler. So basically I'm trying to assemble these, what I'm calling edges here, around what I would be thinking would be centers, but obviously these are not quite like centers because they have rotation on them. Yeah, so they might still be centers now I'm thinking about it. But anyway, I was thinking they had rotation on them, so I don't know what they are, corners or edges. I'm pretty out of practice with all these different non-WCA and custom puzzles, so it's turned out to be a bit of a brain exercise because as you can see, I was able to get this piece here where it needs to be right here. but it still needs to be rotated. So, I mean, there's a few different moves I can do. If I move it up to like there, and I can rotate this direction, and I can bring it back there. But as you can see, it's still 90 degrees rotated. So I'm going to have to figure out an algorithm or a rotation that I can rotate this 90 degrees as opposed to 180. It won't be called a parity, but I'm starting to think that in order to rotate one of these 90 degrees, the only way to do it would be to turn that center layer, and obviously you're messing all these up. But then you'd be able to do an algorithm all the way around to match them all back up again in the center layer, and then hopefully your center rotation there would be complete. So I guess I'm going to try that out, and let's see if that works and helps me make any more progress. Yep, and there you go. With a little bit of messing around, like I said, with that center layer there, basically, if you have to rotate 190 degrees, you have to rotate these, mess these up, and I think I just went in a circle and solved them after that. And after doing that, as you can see, that piece that was not aligned before, that center, as I'm calling it right now, is now aligned with that. It was 90 degrees off before. So that's your 90 degree algorithm. Trying to figure out all the rest of this here is going to be a challenge, though. It just took me probably 3 or 4 minutes to figure out how to get this piece where I wanted it to match up with these right there, which I'm not even sure is necessary, but that's what I was trying to do, just to kind of get an idea how these pieces move. And it is pretty confusing. It's cool, but confusing. And we'll have to see if this actually makes a difference or not, but I decided to get all these larger pieces here solved before too long, because then I can actually solve the center layer for good, which, let's see, I guess it was on that one there. This is one solved there. Anyway, I think I got one slice away here. I just had to flip them until it's all one slice, and then, well, gotta get the turn, and there you go. Those should all be solved, and we'll see if that helps us or not. But now I have to figure out how to solve these again, non-destructively. Okay, so I've been messing around with this for a little while here, and as you can see, I have all these large edges solved here, and half of the small edges there. It's these last two that are giving me some problems. I can either have these two, the big ones, or these two, the small ones. So I wonder if I have to come up with some sort of parity algorithm, or it's something really simple that I'm missing. Okay, so I've discovered an algorithm here, as you can see, where this is exactly the same as it was before, but now I've also flipped these two edges without messing up the larger edges. So now I have to try and figure out if I can do that again without, and actually solve the cube. If I can do 4 edges at the same time, it might actually work. So anyway, I'm not super hopeful, but basically, yes, that did it. It was a cycle of sorts. And I guess I can show you the algorithm for that now that I know it. Basically, I'm going to turn to right here, flip, back, and then you go to the other side here. So I make sure through the camera so I don't mess this up. This way, flip, back, and then see, we have 4 messed up, and we have all these still solved. So then to basically return it to that, which to get the other one scrambled up so I could do the cycle, I basically switched it like that. But then you line all those up, and then you go this way, flip. All right, do this to the camera, back, turn 180, this way, flip, and back. And there we go. That is a victory. That took me a little bit too long to figure out because I wanted to try and get these solved before I got these solved, or vice versa. I mean, in any case, I think these need to be solved before I can solve all these pieces. And hopefully I'm correct. And let's try and get the rest of it solved up. I'll let you know if there's any other complications or interesting findings. Okay, well, I'm still here, and I'm going to have to figure out if I can actually finish this puzzle or not before the end of the video. This is turning out to be a pretty good challenge, and I'm not sure I have quite enough time before this video needs to go out. I've mentioned quite a few of the different challenges I went through so far in solving this puzzle. I mean, the center thing there is interesting, and these are actually, the center orientation is probably the worst part, because I'm pretty sure every time that one is 90 degrees off from where it needs to be, like that right there, there may be an algorithm where I can go like with the centers and move them around maybe and get them to rotate a little bit, but I haven't figured that out yet. The only way I figured out how to do it is to mess up that middle layer again, which took me quite a while to figure out. So I'll mess around with this for a little bit longer, but otherwise I think that's going to be about it for this video. Well, there is about where I got on this puzzle for today. As you can see, there's a couple centers there that need to be rotated 90 degrees. There's some that actually need to be rotated 180. And I don't have the algorithms figured out to do it. I will definitely put some more time over the coming weeks and hopefully try and figure that puzzle out. But that's the reality of some of these non-WCA, really oddball puzzles, is it takes some algorithms I just need to, well, figure out or learn or something like that Can't always get solved. But we made some pretty good headway, and it was a pretty interesting solve. Thanks so much to Kay for that cube. That thing is really cool, and it turns awesome. I mean, you saw it during the solve there, but it is just it's finger trickable. For a 3D printed puzzle, that is amazing. Color scheme is really nice. The colors held up. And I was thinking about trying to open up the cube and show you the internals a little bit, but I think I would probably end up breaking it. This thing is very, very solid and very well put together. I'm sure there's a trick to taking it apart, but I do not know it. So anyway, like I said, check out ak_cubes on Instagram. I don't think he posts very much on there, but he made this puzzle, and he is a very good puzzle designer. That thing is super, super cool. That's about it for the video for today. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe below if you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe to Cubes Made Easy. He's going to be making day 2 of the puzzle advent calendar, and you will not want to miss any of the videos coming up. They're going to be awesome. I have 2 more coming, and we'll see what those puzzles are then. KS Cuber out. Goodbye.